Beverly Hills Cop Axel Foley, 2024. 30 years after the last caper, Axel Foley once again has reservations in the hills of Beverly. The same old recipe includes unraveling hidden crime syndicates, oblivious city cops, and ample 80s synth. But the menu also has some updated items, including copious amounts of self-reflection and a side of bacon.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Our Rating. This is our 50th episode where I get together with two of my friends. We discuss a movie franchise, break it down by movie, give an overall score, and throw on the board to see where it lands. I'm joined, as always, by Brian and Will. Brian, how are you doing tonight?
I'm good, Dan. Had a good time. Just finished up this movie.
You just finished up today?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Nothing like leaving it to the last minute.
Sometimes that's how he does his best work, so I'm okay with it. How about you, Will? How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing fantastic. I hope there's Patreon video of the little quiz you gave so that everybody on Patreon can view that. If you're not on Patreon, here's your chance to sign up.
Link down below. Thank you for that. That came out of left field, but I appreciate it. Now, this is my first time viewing this. I believe we discussed this before. Neither of you have seen this before this week either, correct?
That's correct. I've always been like, hey, I should watch that, but then we started doing this. I was like, well, I'm not watching it until we do this.
Yeah, I'm going to hold off. I haven't really watched this. I'm going to watch it
Honestly,
once.
I wait on franchises now because I'm like, we'll get to it. We'll get to it.
I've trained you like dogs. Excellent.
I'm salivating over here.
Pavlovian over here.
Yeah.
Okay, so this movie takes place, 30 years after the last one?
Indeed,
and we are introduced to almost exactly like Beverly Hills Cop 1 and 2, or just thrown right into a heist at the very beginning. You got Axel Foley back to being fast talking, back to being a little more juvenile, funny, trying to be back up to his old antics, all the stuff that we were basically missing from the third movie, and it's back on display 30 something years later. The opening scene in the hockey arena, did that work for you guys? Were you having fun with that? I think the conversation between him and his coworker, I thought was pretty fun. I enjoyed that. It was a little uncomfortable in my own skin, but for the most part, I had a good time with it. What about you, Will?
Yeah, I mean, I think they stick with a pretty obvious formula here throughout the franchise, and I'm fine that they kept that up here with an opening chase. But I think they also wanted to show the audience right out of the gate that Eddie is back in fine form with the fast-talking Foley, which we lost and missed in the third installment. So it was good.
Yeah, I think that was definitely one of the biggest things missing in the third one, for me at least.
And
what about you, Brad? Did you like the return to form?
Yeah, definitely. I was very skeptical after coming off of 3, and I walk into this one, and right off the bat, I started chuckling at some of the jokes and the fast-talking Eddie. I liked it. He also kind of said some words and some conversation topics that weren't in any of the previous stuff that brought it up to date and made it present in our time again. And I liked that. I was like, okay, so not only are we getting what we were missing from 3 and that stuff that we wanted from 1 and 2, but they're also making it present in today's timeline. And I like that. So right off the bat, I was like, sweet, we're starting off on the right foot.
I don't mean to put you on the spot. Do you have an example of what you're talking about there?
He said the N-word right off the bat, and
okay,
I wasn't expecting that. And then there was some racial conversations, which were hilarious to me. I'm a white guy, so I'm not sure if I'm even allowed to talk about him. So, but they even made reference how he can talk about it, but his white partner can't talk about it, and made that joke, and it had me chuckling. And I was like, okay, sweet. So they're kind of taking themselves seriously, and they're in a present time, but they're also making light of situations that are hard to make fun of. And I appreciate comedy like that. So right off the bat, it was just a good tone for me, and I enjoyed where they came from.
I think one of the first things that I noticed in this movie, and obviously this is a Netflix movie, it's made in 2024, but honestly, instantly you got that feeling oh, they spent some money on this. This movie looks significantly better than the other ones do. And again, I get it, 84, 94, 2024, there is a huge difference there in just the technology and how things are made. But that opening arena shot and the chase in downtown Detroit, looked really good. The budget on this one is inflated pretty significantly over the last 30 years, but regardless, I think they spent the money well. Like the last movie had a lot of action, and it was like the driest action you've ever seen. This wasn't the most exciting action, but at least it was like
I gave it a solid score in the effects and the action department myself. I think there was some room for improvement. There were some scenes, like there was a car chase at the end when he hits that SUV with the big truck and it spins out of control, and there was like an explosion, and it looked like they edited the explosion into it after the fact. It just didn't look right. There were some little things that didn't bother me that I'm like, okay, they're trying, and the rest of it really looked pretty good. You're right. They put some more money into it, and they spent their money in the right places. And I thought the action sequences were a vast improvement, even from 2. I thought it was good.
Yeah, I didn't mind the action. I think it was still a little clunky. This director is like a first-time feature director. He's only done like video things and some Netflix stuff here and there, I think. So this was like his first go at a big action movie. So I think I felt that a little bit. His name was Mark Malloy, I believe. And aside from that, though, I think the biggest compliment for the direction was letting Eddie kind of be in fine form and just letting him take the comedy chops here and just letting him spew out whatever he wants.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't say that the action in this movie was like its biggest strength by any stretch of the imagination. But again, compared to 3 and even a little bit compared to 2, I think it was a pretty sizable step up and
at least
in the right direction.
Yeah.
So speaking of timelines as the movies progress, we have Axel Foley's daughter in this one. He mentions that she's either 32 or 34 years old. I couldn't remember. Right? And we never get to see who the mother is. I was really hoping that the mother would be Janice from number 3, Theresa Randall. I was really hoping to get to see her again and have a little bit of spice coming from her after she realizes who Axel Foley really is, because she was so madly in love with him in number 3, and it kind of drove me nuts. So I was really hoping that would play out. It never did. We never got to see who the mother of the daughter was. And the timing doesn't really work out because this was 20 years later, and he said that his daughter was, I believe, 32 or something like that, right? Am I getting that wrong?
I believe it was 30 years later, not 20 years later. But regardless, yes, I think she is too old for that to be her mother.
You're right, 94 to 2024. So it'd be 30 years later. But he mentioned her, like she asks him what her birth date is and stuff, and he stutters over it. But then, kind of bomb drops it. You were born August 13th and you're 34 years old, or whatever the exact numbers were. I don't remember.
Yeah. I think it was March 29th, but it's fine.
Sure. I kind of got the impression he was messing with her. And then when, like, after the bullets were flew, he's like, no, I'm your dad. I know your birthday.
Yeah, exactly.
But, I mean, maybe I just read that wrong. But, like, I play games like that with my kids all the time where I, like, get them their age wrong or their names wrong. I'm just having fun.
I do the same thing. That's kind
of what I assumed was, but...
Just you wait. As you get older, that will just actually become reality. You'll just call them the wrong name. Call them the dog's name.
The annoying thing is I've got twins, and so sometimes if you call them by the wrong name because everybody calls them by the wrong name, they actually get upset. Like, no, I know who you are. Calm down. Yeah. Anyways, back to this movie.
Speaking of the daughter, what did you guys think of that relationship and that plot? That character arc of him being a bad father and trying to reconnect with his daughter, which it's a tried and true trope, but it's a little tired. Mm-hmm. Personally, I thought that they did something that wasn't a risk at all, but they did it really well, and it was fine. But it was kind of a boring idea. What did you guys think of that whole dynamic between the two?
I kind of think it was a decent enough idea to start off with, and we sometimes give movies a hard time because they go too quickly and they just like jump right past something that they should have stuck with, or that in reality would have taken longer. And in this movie, I feel it was almost the opposite, where like it lasted so much of the movie, and I was kind of like, okay, just forgive each other, like figure it out, say something polite to each other. Like I kind of wanted them to just get past it and just move into having a relationship at some point, and we didn't really get that until the firefight at the end. Mm-hmm. Like they hold on to that grudge the entire time. And again, in real life, I completely get that. But in an hour and a half, 2 hour long movie, if the point is that you're supposed to reconnect, let's actually see you reconnect. That's how I felt, at least.
What do you think?
Yeah,
Will?
Yeah, I think they kind of tied in two stereotypical or tropey type things. Like she's a lawyer and he's a cop, so that's already butting heads. And then they have the, you know, daughter-father thing, distant relationship. And I think they handled it okay, but yes, I do agree that it just felt like they purposely withheld any growth in their relationship until the very end when he gets shot and whatever. Where I do wish we would have seen a little bit more rekindling prior to that or sooner. It made for some humorous scenes along the way of them being like, you know, yakking at each other, but or showing how much alike they are without them being, you know, on agreeable terms. But it would have been nicer to move on from it.
Yeah, just a little bit faster. I will say there was a moment where I don't remember the exact setup, but he says something like I'm the dad and you're the daughter, and oh shoot, I forget the way they set it up, but it was really actually quite nice.
And just so you know, if you went to therapy, the parent is always the parent. The child is always the child. We didn't mess this up. You messed this up. Goodbye.
Where she's like, you know, no, you're always the dad. I'm always the kid.
Yes,
You're always
yes.
supposed to be the adult. And for a character like Axel Foley, who has pretty much been a child his entire life, even when he's on the job, kind of getting put in his place like that, and then later on he kind of comes back to be like, no, you're right. I was always the adult. You were always the child. I should have done better.
Mhm.
I thought that was a very well put together, even though I totally butchered it here, moment in the movie, and did kind of show a little bit of growth from Axel Foley, who has been this like man child all the way along. I did enjoy that. So I'm not going to say like the entire thing was poor. I just wish that they had rekindled a little bit faster and you got a little bit more back and forth quality banter from them. I did like when she was calling him out, though, when he walked into the car, not the impound lot. I was like, hey, you got this guy, you can be in our movie? And she's just like, oh yeah, what was that movie about? And he's just like that was pretty fun, where she's just like so sick of his bullshit. She's just like, no, I'm going to make you look like an idiot right now. I liked that.
And you know what? There were other times where he steps up to the plate to be one of those fast talking moments, like when he goes to get his hotel room and he just goes, oh, you know what? I'm too old for this. Why don't you just give me a room? How much is it?
May I help you, sir?
Yes, I'm Nigel Applebottom with Bon Appetit. And I was wondering if... You know, to hell with this. I'm just too tired. Do you have any rooms available?
And it led to another joke that was not super funny, but it was still kind of funny. But I liked how they like acknowledge that this should have been one of those moments, but they're like, we're not just going to do the same thing over and over again. So that was kind of cool too. Just like how she shut him down at the impound lot and screwed up that whole thing, and it made it a humorous moment in a whole new, fresh way. So that was kind of cool how they acknowledge where this stuff is coming from, this kind of content, and they don't, you know, completely shy away from it, but they also change it and adapt to a new situation and build off of it, which is something that was completely missed in number 3. They just didn't have those sequences at all, and it just wasn't funny.
Yeah, agreed. And it had like a little callback moment too to the first movie where he goes to the hotel and he's like, how much is it? And it's like $200. He's like, oh, like I can't afford that, but okay, I'm gonna pretend. And then this one, it's like Jack's up to $950 a night or whatever it was, and he's just like,
gotta love Beverly Hills.
Yeah, I thought that was a cute little throwback that didn't feel super forced. Like, of course, he's gonna have to sleep somewhere for the night, right? And I liked that as well. What you were mentioning, where he's just like, he's about to go into this spiel like he does because it's just second nature to him, and he's like, I'm tired. I just want a room. Like,
well, yeah, that's I think the difference between this and a lot of these sequels that happen a great distance away from their originals. Jurassic Worlds come to mind a little bit, that, you know, they pay homage, but it's just hammering the nail on the head over and over again in those movies. And in this one, at least they put a little bit of a spin on it. So that is nice to see. It shows a little bit of creativity at least.
Yeah, for sure.
And you want to talk about callbacks to the original material. There's a sequence when the cop, not Billy, what's the new guy from this movie that he gets partnered up with?
Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character?
Thank you, Gordon-Levitt. He goes through the file on Eddie Murphy, and he's talking about Eddie Murphy's time in Beverly Hills, but he's also pointing out the previous movies. And he makes a joke about, ooh, in 94, that wasn't your best material or something like along those lines.
Work, yeah.
Well, this isn't my first time in Beverly Hills.
I saw that. Did you ever read your own file? This is
a lot. Disturbing the peace, various shootouts, evading the police. This is from 84. Then there's one from 87.
And then 94, not your finest hour.
And right then and there, I was like, this movie just went up like 10 points for me because they acknowledge the crap I just sat through last week, and they're making fun of it. And so at times this movie takes itself real seriously, like with the relationship with his daughter. And then other times it acknowledges the silliness that has happened before it. And it pays homage to the things that we came to see. And I thought it did a really nice job of all that kind of juggling for the most part. Not perfect, but it was pretty good.
Agreed.
Yeah, I actually agree with everything you just said there. Very well put. What did you guys think of the because we got a lot of returning cast members. In fact, I think pretty much everybody who is alive is in this
We got
movie.
Taggart back.
We got Taggart back. We got Paul Reiser back. Both were missing from the first movie, or sorry, the third movie.
The third movie.
Yeah.
And I liked seeing both those actors. In fact, this is John Ashton's final performance, at least while he was alive. I don't know what movie came after this, but they kept specifying that online, so I assume there had to be one.
Yeah, I think he passed away 2 months after the release of this one.
And
July to September, so 3 or 4, whatever that math works out to be. But yeah, very, very shortly afterwards. I liked seeing him again. I was kind of taken aback by it when we first saw him because he's retired, but they even addressed that in a clever way. It was just like, well, I got married again and, needed the money. So it's like, oh, fair enough. Like,
no, honestly, Taggart's acting in this movie was not amazing for me. There were some lines he just did a terrible job delivering, but honestly, I was glad to have him back because when they did have good moments in the film, it was really good. Like when they were in the car at the end, it was pretty solid. I was stoked that they brought so many back. We even had Gilbert R. Hill's picture on the wall. That was Todd, Commander Todd, or whatever his name was, Todd. Sergeant Todd. I don't remember his moniker, but his picture was on the wall in his old office. So that was kind of cool. They really just made an effort to showcase everything that was good in the franchise.
Yeah.
What do you guys
I will
think?
go back to John Astin just for one quick second. You're right. Not all of his acting was on par or perfect, whatnot, but he's, getting up there. He's suffering from cancer. The end, though, when they're gunfight, and he's like slowly getting down and hiding behind the barrier. I was like, oh, that looked like it hurt, sir. And then his next line is like, I don't think I can get up. I was just like, okay. No, I like that. Well done.
Yeah.
So like, was he perfect? No, but I liked it. I liked having him there again. Sorry, Will, I cut you
No,
off.
that's just fine. I just wanted to ask about Rosewood and Taggart. Did you guys like them in this movie? Did you enjoy their characters?
Rosewood is Billy.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, there were pluses and minuses on this one. I was glad that they were in the movie. I felt that some of the acting from both of them actually was a little bit off. There were some like forced lines for sure where they were trying to like make a joke, and I was like, oh, you didn't really land that one. I don't really believe you. But I was glad to see them in the movie because of the nostalgia factor. And they still have the three of them still have good chemistry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I would agree with that. I think if you take Eddie Murphy and you go to Beverly Hills and you don't see either one of them, that would be weird. Like that would almost be like, well, why are we even here? Like, why didn't we just stay in Detroit? So I liked having them back. I think maybe having Billy off screen for most of the movie, like him being more of the reason they're doing it than actually a driving force is maybe the right call. However, I'm not entirely sure why the bad guys would keep him alive for as long as they did. I feel like,
well, yeah, they were trying to get
him and move on pretty quickly.
I've been tortured for 2 days. What's your excuse? Which was okay.
Yeah.
But no, I was happy enough that they were there. I loved having Paul Reiser back as well. I liked that he got a little bit more screen time. I would have liked even seeing a bit more of him, but I thought his chemistry with Eddie Murphy was decent as being the like, no, I grew up. I'm now the one in charge. I need to be the one like falling on the sword here, but I'm still your friend, right? Like I like that. But I've also got a soft spot for Paul Reiser, so maybe that's more to do with it.
He's great. Yeah. I felt similar. I thought Taggart, unfortunately, I thought his character was kind of all over the place. He seemed like almost a dirty cop because it was so weird that he had no faith in Billy, his partner, for so long. He had no faith in Foley, who's been his friend, gone fishing with him multiple times, all these things. And I understand he's the chief. He has to make all the hard calls, but it just seemed like he was a dirty cop, and then they forgot to reveal that at the end. It was really weird. And then Billy, I would have liked to see more of, because you only get a little bit of him and then he's gone. And then he comes back at the end and, it's fun again. But I think if we would have had more of him and more of their dynamic, I think we would have enjoyed them on the whole more in the movie.
Now, see, I differ. I thought we saw Taggart and Billy just enough.
Okay.
It was just enough for us to know that they're there. And I didn't think that they were a strong enough performance. Maybe they've been out of the game. I don't know what their acting careers are like, but it felt like they've been...
Ryan Holt was on like a 7-year hiatus.
6.5, 7 years, yeah.
Okay, right. They felt like they've been out of the game for a while, and it kind of showed. And so I thought we had just the right amount of them. Now, you talked about Taggart not believing Foley and not believing Billy. I felt like they were pushing a head fake that we were going to find out that Taggart was now a bad cop, and that's why he's back in the game and everything. And lo and behold, that wasn't the case. He was just misled. So I kind of liked that it seemed like it was the obvious choice for him to be a crooked cop in this one. And then he wasn't. And so that misdirection, I thought I liked it. It was a little different. And I can see how some people would not like it for sure, because this wasn't masterfully pulled off either. But I thought it did a pretty good job, and I enjoyed what they tried.
Yeah, that's fair.
I actually liked that he wasn't crooked, because I thought that was the direction they were going. It definitely picked up on those vibes, and I was just like, no, don't do that. Not that I'm like super emotionally attached to these characters, but it just felt like that would have been
right. I kind of felt, how could you go bad on Billy? Like, how could you?
So I was pretty happy that wasn't the direction they went with that one. But yeah, I think I'm with Brian on this one. I think we got just enough of those characters, because the new cast, I think, was a bit stronger, and I really enjoyed their integration with Axel Foley. I'm talking, of course, about Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Kevin Bacon and Taylor Page. I think that dynamic was a bit more interesting to me. I'm a huge Joseph Gordon-Levitt fan. I think he's phenomenal.
He's great.
His acting in this was quite good. The only scene I didn't really care for his character was the helicopter scene, where all of a sudden he had no idea how to be a pilot. And I'm like, I can understand being afraid. I don't understand not knowing what to do.
Okay, I'm with you on he was too terrible of a pilot for that scene, but I liked Abbott throughout the entire movie. I thought he did a great job. He was one of my favorite characters to watch. I actually really enjoyed the helicopter scene, his interactions with Foley, how they're slapping each other in the face and pointing guns at each other as this helicopter's falling out of the sky. I thought that was a really good scene. It didn't make any sense how terrible of a pilot he was, though. And so it was a little bit awkward, but I was still enjoying that scene. Not to mention, that was a cool action sequence, having that helicopter skim across the ground, barely missing the tour bus, crashing in the golf course. And then who's on the golf course? But lo and behold, the guy from Happy Gilmore.
Shooter McGavin.
Shooter McGavin's out on the golf course. It was... So I liked that whole sequence. I'm going to give him the pass on him being a super terrible pilot, just because I had fun with it.
Which is fair. I will say the Shooter McGavin cameo, what's it, Christopher McDonald? Is that right?
Yeah.
Was maybe one of my favorite ones, even though it was, you could argue it was very forced. I really liked it. Like that worked for me, that he was just like, he's just out golfing me, like, what are you doing here? I was like, all right, that's cool. They could have gone too far with that one by, like, I don't know, trying to bring in the whole Happy Gilmore cast, but just having him there just as a golfer, I was totally on board with.
Yeah.
So does that mean we have to watch Happy Gilmore as part of this franchise now? It's the same world.
No.
It is absolutely not, because in the Happy Gilmore franchise, he's in a mental hospital right now. So
yeah, but we don't know what
spoilers.
We don't know what year or what time he went into there, right? Like we don't know exact facts.
We don't know exact facts, but anyways, that's a discussion for a different day.
It is funny though, because the director, I looked it up. I was like, is he supposed to be Shooter McGavin? And I looked up, the director's like, yeah, we thought it would be fun. We had needed a golfer, and it immediately came to my mind, it would be fun to get Christopher McDonald to do a cameo. we didn't force that it was Happy Gilmore, and apparently they didn't know that Happy Gilmore 2 was in production at the time at Netflix. So it was just like a Happy Gilmore happenstance.
I did notice that Happy Gilmore 2 is a Netflix exclusive as well.
Exactly.
But I was like, I don't think they're trying to make this a shared universe by any stretch. I think it was just
for
we
fun.
want a golfer. Who are we going to get? Yeah, of course we're going to get him. So I like that one quite a bit.
What professional golfer do you guys know aside from maybe Tiger Woods? Like, I don't know any of them. And so I don't know who you get to appear on that golf course. But Shooter McGavin, I do know, and it brought a smile to my face. So I thought it was well played. And you're right. They could have gone overboard. He just appeared. He said a few lines. It was kind of funny to see the way he acted. And that was enough for me. I was happy.
Yeah, literally just seeing him on a golf course, and you're just like, oh, I get what they're doing. And that's all you needed. They didn't have to go any further with that. What did you guys think of Kevin Bacon as the villain?
I think Kevin Bacon does a good job as villains.
Yeah, he does a good villain. I mean, you knew he's dirty right out the gate. There was no questioning of anything in this movie, really, except for Taggart, and I thought that was more of a waffling bad choice than anything. So, you knew, but he plays it well, so why not?
Oh, the camera pans over to Kevin Bacon. You're like, villain.
Yeah,
right there. You see the suit, villain.
He just has that look to him somehow. Like, I don't dislike him as a person or an actor, but like you just see him and you're just like, oh, he's a slimeball. Like, just something about him just screams villain.
Hey, you know what? He had an incredible scene with Foley's daughter when he snorts the bump of coke, brushes it off of his face, and then starts, like, they switch scenes, they come back, and then he's having his little monologue in her face. He was acting so well, like he was hyped up, like he just got coked out. I was like, wow, he's nailing this scene right now. I thought it was really cool. I think he did an excellent job as that villain. Was it kind of cliche? Oh, it was very cliche, but he did a great job in it. And then another head fake. Axel tries to escape from Kevin Bacon.
That was the best part of the movie.
You're thinking he's climbing through the vent. And Axel goes, oh, you see too many movies. I thought that was great. So many little pieces like that I enjoyed.
I thought it was especially clever because he actually does escape through the vents in a previous movie.
It's the third one.
It's something he actually does. And then he's like, you've seen too many movies. It's like, well done.
Making fun of themselves again, while still taking the movie very seriously. I did think that having his gun setting there with his badge and a big pile of drugs where he can easily just reach around the corner and grab it as he makes his escape from the police place. I thought that was just absolutely stupid. But they needed him to get his gun back, and so whatever.
Yeah. I mean, if the entire precinct is supposed to be dirty, which is the impression that I was getting at least.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not saying it makes sense because it should be locked up, obviously, but I can kind of see it in like everybody knows the score here, so who cares?
Yeah, I guess. But I mean, they're going to go dump him in the river anyways, and everybody knows it, so I guess they're not really going by the book on that one. Just seemed kind of weird.
For sure.
Eddie Murphy's daughter's in this movie.
She
His
is?
actual daughter?
His actual daughter played one
of the police officers, right?
One of the two police officers that arrest him in the little cutesy police car in Beverly Hills. Yeah.
I heard that after the fact, but as we were watching the movie, I'm just like, I get that it's supposed to be Beverly Hills with this tiny little like Prius of a police car, but like nobody is arresting somebody and putting them in the backseat of a car like that without a cage and like security proceeding. Like, it's just like, that's not happening. I'm sorry. There's no way.
It was kind of reminiscent of like the first movie when they had all the fancy equipment and gear and everything was pristine, and their bad guys are pretty good. So you don't need any of that bars and wires.
Hey, here's one. We got Sarge back. Sarge, right?
Yeah,
I loved his appearance. And you know what? I really liked the real estate sales lady. She was both super annoying and very funny. I thought she did an incredible job. I hated her and loved her in equal measure.
Yeah,
I really liked the whole scene where they went through that house and did all that.
The longer that scene went on, the more I liked her, because at the very beginning, she was just very stereotypical, whatever. And then as it kind of went on, like, oh no, she hates who she is. Like she hates
Yes.
everything about this, and she's just like putting it on because that's what Beverly Hills is. Everybody's
Exactly,
fake, nobody's real.
Everybody's
And
fake.
When she says that her own 4-year-old kid is a loser, like, oh my god, I was laughing so hard at the audacity of that scene, and it just kept going. I laughed hard at that one, so that was good.
My kid's a loser. Yeah, no, he's a loser. He's not quite here. He's 4, but you can tell. He's got glasses.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, no, there was some good laughs in this one. And like the action was okay. Like there weren't a lot of really weak points in this one for me. There wasn't a ton of high highs for me either, but there wasn't a lot of weak points. Like this was a pretty solid entry as far as like, sequels 30 years after the fact go. I was pretty okay with it. We've definitely had worse. If you like what we do and you want to help support us, consider joining our Patreon. Links down below. Huge shout out to our executive producers, Real Bubba Hotep and Dino. They've been with us since the start, and we greatly appreciate them. And new Elder JM990 as our head writer is going to get a chance to actually tell us what movie to watch next week, and we'll do a full episode on it. Doesn't have to be a franchise, and he's decided to go with City of God. So that's what we'll be doing next Thursday on our rating.
I felt like this was a great way to pay homage to this entire franchise, to the source material. They made fun of their low points. They recognized the good stuff. They gave us some fresh takes on what we enjoyed. We got to see almost everybody in some way, shape, or form. And I really thought this was a good way to cap off this franchise. I hope they do not ever make another Beverly Hills Cop movie again, because I felt this was a great way to finish for me. I really enjoyed this film. And frankly, I'm ready to rate this thing. Where are you guys at?
Go right in it. Go right into it.
For me, this movie comes in at a... What did I rate this at? Hold on a second. I wrote it down. Yes, this movie comes in at a 79 for me. And if I'm not mistaken, that is just 1 point under what I rated the original Beverly Hills Cop movie. I think I gave that an 80. I felt this was really good. I had a lot of fun. I laughed out loud many, many times during this movie. It wasn't perfect, but they did a great job bringing that nostalgic feel back to this movie. And I like the way they ended this. So I hope this is the last one of the franchise and that we can permanently cap this one off on our list. For me, it was a winner. And I think you'd be better off for seeing this movie, actually.
Mirroring almost everything Brian said about this one, I also think this is a great way to cap off this franchise. I don't think we really need to get anything more from Axel Foley in this world. And if we do, we're going to start losing more and more cast members. So it's probably better to just stop it here when on a high note, because you don't want to go back to like, Beverly Hills Cop 3 territory. I think the music in this was all pretty decent. There was one song during the final chase sequence where I liked the song and I liked the action, but they just did not mesh in my brain. Like the song was just wrong for that scene, despite liking it. The cinematography in this one, I think, stepped up pretty significantly. It looks like a much better movie than the previous ones do. I get it. There's 30 years difference there, but regardless. Acting, I didn't really have a problem with anybody in this movie, and I liked seeing a lot of the actors coming back or even the new ones. We didn't touch on Joseph Gordon-Levitt that strongly in this movie. He's got a relationship with the daughter, which is a little bit forced, but at the same time, I like that there was a reaction there or interaction there between the two of them. I thought he was a pretty good addition to this. The plot is maybe one of the weaker points where it feels kind of like they're just doing the same thing they've done before. They just need to get Axel into Beverly Hills for some reason, and then hijinks can ensue. But the enjoyment on this one was higher than literally everything else in this franchise. Brian went 1 point down. I'm actually going 2 points up. The first movie was a 70 for me. This one is a 72. I enjoyed this movie quite a bit. That being said, the franchise isn't necessarily for me, but as far as the franchise goes, I like this one the most.
I mean, I'm going to come in low here. It's a fine movie, and I think if you like the first and second and you've suffered through the third, you might as well watch this, because they do a fine job of paying homage and at least putting a little bit of spin on it to keep it fresh. Aside from that, the action is only okay to me. It keeps you engaged enough, but it's not wowing you. And the comedy, it keeps you engaged, but it's not wowing you. But it is in finer form compared to, obviously, the third movie. I feel like maybe because we watched the third one so recently and it was such a disappointment that this one just seems that much better. But compared to the first one, I just don't think it was. It wasn't the first one still in my eyes, even though they did do a lot of things right. I just felt like it was more of a nostalgia capper than anything. It didn't need to happen, but it did happen. So you might as well watch it if you enjoyed the previous installments. So for me, it lands right on the 65 mark, which is watch it if you're a fan of the franchise. If not, pass.
All right, and with that, we have our final score for the Beverly Hills Cop franchise, landing at a 61. This came up a couple of points from the last movie, which is pretty decent to see. Ties it with Gremlins, another 80s franchise. What do you think about this, guys? Does this land kind of where you wanted it to? Do you think this is a pretty decent end for it, or is it a little too high?
I like Evil Dead way more than Beverly Hills Cop franchise for sure. But I think Beverly Hills just a little above Gremlins, maybe. Yeah, I guess. Honestly, I just think Dan tanked Evil Dead is what happened there.
I can't help it. It was not for me at all. I mean, you can see the scores there.
I don't disagree, Brian. I like Beverly Hills being where it is.
Yeah.
Above Jurassic World, above Venom, I'm happy.
For sure.
Gremlins and Beverly Hills, I actually can see Beverly Hills being above Gremlins. Gremlins is like the first movie is like pretty fun, nostalgia-wise. Is it the best movie? No. I think Beverly Hills kind of hit on something that hadn't been done before. It really put that forward. So I think it deserves to be a little higher. So I'm okay with the placement.
Yeah, I have no real complaints with this. It's a franchise I enjoyed. I'm happy I've seen them all, but I'm probably not likely to go back and rewatch very often or ever. But yeah, glad I saw it.
You know, this list is always tough because, like the Never-Ending Story, if it stopped at one movie, it would be so much higher on this list. You know,
exactly.
I think it's at the top.
Yeah, it's tough seeing certain things where they're at because there's the one in the franchise that you love. And then there's the rest of the franchise.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was just happy that this franchise has ended on a positive note. Not the best movie it ever could have been, but it was a solid addition to the franchise, and I'm glad they ended on a good note. And like we said repeatedly, I hope they cap it here.
All right, and that is our rating of Beverly Hills Cop Axel F. But what's yours? Leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear from you. Were we too high on this one? A little too low on it? I'd love to know what you think. We record this live over at twitch.tv/The Mongoolie Show on Thursday nights. So head over there and hit the follow button if you want to catch us live, or hit like and subscribe on this video so that I see you in the next one. Click, 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 clack, click.
That's my bad.